So hi guys, today I've got the pleasure to interview two very interesting beings, Paula and Teal. Paula is an independent director and Teal is a spiritual catalyst, and today we'll be talking the about Teal, about the documentary that Paula is producing. So, Paula, could you tell us something more about the documentary?
First of all, thank you, Uri, for this interview. And okay, the documentary is basically the inspiring story of Teal Swan, a revolutionary spiritual teacher who survived years of sexual, physical, and emotional abuse at the hands of a religious cult. And after escaping, Teal not only chose to share her story with the world, her hopes, her fears, and strength, and her anxieties, but she decided to teach others the tools of spiritual and emotional healing, all while healing herself along the way. So, and it's, I mean, I found Teal's personal story a very interesting one, very beautiful story to tell, and that's why I decided to make a documentary about her.
Yeah. So, Teal, can you tell us something more about what you are doing, and why do you think like someone like Paula was inspired to do a documentary about you?
What I'm doing is basically empowering people. What I want to do is to wake people up to the freedom that they do have in their own lives. And I think when a lot of us experience trauma, the thing that is so painful about it is that we feel as if we're somehow spoiled, that we're damaged, and that our life can't go on and actually become a success. So the message that I'm sharing with the world, if you were to condense it, is all about people finding that internal freedom and that reclamation from no matter where they are. And I think that that obviously is a story that everybody relates to, and it's a story that inspires. So anybody that comes across it is going to feel this sense of, I can do it. And not only that, this can help other people realize that they can do it, because it's relatable. So if I was to give you my opinion about why that would have struck a chord with someone like Paola, I think that's probably what it was. And that's my hope for the film as well, is that people who watch it can relate to the fact that, you know, I'm somebody who's gone through an immense amount of trauma, who a lot of people would say and have said that she's damaged, she's done for life, there's only so much she can accomplish based on all of that experience. But I've done it anyway. And I really hope that that helps people to feel that sense of empowerment in their own lives.
Yes. Also, I want to add the impact that her openness had among many people, because if she hadn't come out with her story, with her abuse story, which many people are very afraid to come out, and they're afraid, first of all, because they are not ready to face that pain that they went through, and also because maybe they're afraid still about their abusers being around and so on. So it's so it gives the same way she allowed herself, you know, she gave herself permission to come out with this story. Many people around the world will feel permission to come out with the story as well.
Yeah,
So it's
I've had a yeah, I've had I've had the opportunity to meet both of you while doing while I was doing a workshop for Teal. You were doing the documentary.
Yes.
And yeah, and I have to say I was pretty amazed how much time you put into it, how you are traveling with Teal almost around the world.
Yes.
But there are still people that believe that Teal's story is not true? Like, why do you like Teal and Paola? Why do you think is that?
Which you want to go first? You can go first, and I'll go second.
What happened to Teal is not something that common. It's not something common. So for sure, many people who don't know that that kind of reality exists, they will doubt about that. Whereas, all the people who went through the abuse, they resonate a lot with what Teal says. They don't even doubt what Teal says, and because they know that those things exist.
Teal, so can you now, Teal, can you now tell us now why do you think that people still doesn't believe your story?
I think there's a lot of factors, basically, that go into why some people don't believe the story. I think that the major piece is that when we are challenged with something that's really, really difficult to accept, and usually it comes in the form of a victim stepping forward and then telling their story, that challenges us to change the way that we view the way the world works. So this is what we have to understand. But the difference between the victim and the perpetrator is that the perpetrator really asks nothing of the bystander, of the listener. The victim asks for the bystander or the listener to step completely out of what they thought the world was like and to open up to a whole new possibility. Now, it's difficult enough for the ego to embrace a possibility that feels good. But for the ego to embrace a possibility that feels bad, that's a whole different story. And it's 10 times more difficult. So I think that when people hear the story, they can't, they can, at this point, by the way, back when they couldn't own the idea, people could not own the idea that like a dad would fondle his daughter or sexually abuse his daughter. Now today that's normal. And when a girl comes forward and says, my dad sexually abused me, hardly anyone says, prove it, because they can accept the reality. But what I'm talking about now in this day and age is a whole different level of abuse. It's ritual abuse. It's deliberate. It's acted out not just by one individual, but by an entire cult group. And how safe do you feel in reality if that's what's going on? So most people are like, do I want to believe in a safe world, or do I want to believe this stuff exists? That's the first thing. The second thing is, a lot of people can't understand why I'm as healthy as I am if that's truly what happened to me. Another thing is, I've experienced a lot in life. I went directly, when I was in the middle of the abuse, I also was doing some modeling. And after modeling, I got into a successful, moderately successful, depends on your definition of success, career in sports. So when I'm telling people about the various things I'm doing in my life, they can't put that together because their picture of what an abuse victim looks like is somebody who's rocking back and forth in an institution for years. And so how can she have done all of these things and been abused and end up here? So it just looks like, oh, she did this for finance or whatever. It's because most people don't understand the chronology. And it's also a very complicated case, mine, because it wasn't normal. Like, I wasn't taken out of my bed at night and then my parents never saw me for years and then I came back to society, which is actually the more common thing that happens in a scenario that's similar to mine. Mine was, I had a man who essentially infiltrated my family as a childhood mentor and then systematically started pulling me away farther and farther from my parents. So it's the dynamics of the abuse that make it very difficult for people to understand. And my issue, of course, is A, I can't convince the whole world, but B, it's very hard in the interviews that I'm allotted, which is usually a segment, that's like, you got 10 minutes to cover your background story, then we're going to ask you questions on this 1-hour radio show about fill in the blank. There's no way that I could cover 13 years of abuse in that amount of time. It's not possible. So that would be my guess at why people doubt the story.
Yeah, so Teal, you are all about the authenticity. Did you when Paula reached out to you, did you find this as that now you can like really share and show people how like your everyday life is and how to let's say how to show them like, yeah, this is my story is true, and maybe with when she will be doing a documentary about me, more people can relate to that, and maybe they will be inspired or healed by? What
I
were
would love
your
to tell
first
you.
thoughts?
My first thought, well, first of all, she sent this like bouquet of flowers, and I didn't know it as Paola. I just like, oh, some documentary filmmaker sent these flowers to me with like this note saying, "Do you want to do a documentary?" I was like, yeah, okay. I have this attitude when it comes to other people's projects, which is just like, let's just let them do whatever they want to do because I'm not attached to it type of a thing. And so, to tell you the honest truth, when I got that, I wasn't like I was thrilled. I was not even like moved really. I was just like, okay. And I accepted it and like expected her to be, around, and I didn't expect to hit it off with her at all. So I can't unfortunately take the credit for this one. What happened is that Paola started shooting stuff that was not deliberate, which is, I think, the mark of a really great documentary filmmaker is that they want to catch the stuff that like really a lot of people don't see. So what converged is that this documentary was being made at the very same time that I was really seeing the necessity for this division between the guru and the disciple to disappear. And so when she started filming, me in my daily life going through triggers, being upset about a performance, with my little eccentricities at home, stuff like that, I actually saw the vision at that point there that like, a person being a human at the same time as being a spiritual teacher actually brings people more in touch with their own divinity. And it was like all these things collided at the same time to actually make the movement that I have today, which is the authenticity movement, where, I mean, it doesn't matter whether you think a spiritual teacher should have hatred. If they have hatred, they should be able to admit it. And by admitting it, that actually makes them more accessible to people, not less accessible. And I think that humanity is ready for the challenge. Are you ready to get your information from something that you're not in the illusion of this being a perfect specimen, somebody that's in a space of like utter divinity 24 hours a day? Because the reality that nobody wants to admit to publicly, except for me, really, is the fact that this is the case for all of us. I mean, I'm loving this because I'm in a career now where I get to be around the greatest of the great spiritual teachers. And guess what? They're all different behind the screen. All of them. And it's been really disillusioning for a lot of people over the years to realize that the person who is in the flow, in the stream of, channeling universal information and bringing across these truths, maybe has a sexual dysfunction, that nobody sees, or maybe, still struggles with hating when people, project a negative attitude towards them, or maybe they've got a gambling addiction, or whatever it is, And I was like, if we could just expose that and actually be okay with the fact that everybody is a work in progress, including the guru, then in fact it puts the power back in our hands to access our divinity just directly. And so whether we're getting the information from a guru or directly from the universe or from somebody who's not even affiliated with spirituality, we're kind of collecting what works for us specifically. And I feel like that's the picture that we're ready for, the spiritual picture we're ready for in our day and age.
Yes. Yes, totally. If I can add something to that, this is another thing that really struck me was exactly, as she said, it's her imperfection. I remember when I was reading her blogs and doing some more research, and I was really surprised that she was putting out there everything about her everyday life and her crisis, and even to the extent of risking her own career. And I used to go like, oh my God, she's saying this? I mean, she can risk her career. She's supposed to be the spiritual luminary, right? Who knows everything, and she forgives everybody, and she's perfect. And no, this is exactly this is another paradigm, old paradigm that was actually broken for me, because I also was coming into this world and getting to know Teal better with these old paradigms, with this old way of thinking, where a spiritual teacher has to be enlightened and perfect, whereas Teal was not.
Teal and Paola, you were mentioning that at the documentary, like they will be, let's say, more than few raw, authentic moments. So Paola, will they actually be at the documentary? Do you have any, like, I don't want to say like favorite by some highs moments and up moments, and when did you actually started like shooting? Did you just fly into Teal's house, and what is the
Yeah.
date or year?
No, camera. Okay, no, I gotta go first. Dude, this woman has her camera on 24 hours a day. Like, if she's here, it's always somewhere, and it's like this entity that just pops up in your face. So, yeah, she started filming the second she got here.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I started. I actually wanted to start with a workshop, not going right away to Teal's house, and it was in February 2014. And I actually I wanted to study her mostly, but then I was collecting footage, and yeah, I collected almost. I have 100 hours of footage.
100
And
hours. How long? I mean, how long were you shooting? And to which places have you been to? Let's say around the world, Europe, America.
yeah, so I went to Atlanta first, then I went to Utah, and then I went to Boston. I went to then Europe, London, Prague, then back to USA. I went back to her house, and then I went to Los Angeles, and I covered that as well. Yes.
So was this almost a year, or how long did it take?
You want to know in terms of exact days of
Yes,
shooting?
no, I mean at least. I mean
At least, well,
all the work.
I stopped. I went there. The last filming session was with her was February, this past February 2015, and then I went this past July to interview another person who is related to the story, and he lives in Manchester, UK.
Till, when you decided to go on with this documentary, were there, let's say, moments when you wish the camera wouldn't be there?
No, I mean, I'm supposed to be all bashful and be like, oh my God, it's so hard being in front of the camera. But the reality of my life is I love being in front of the camera. It's natural as hell. I'm the kind of person who could like have one on me 24 hours a day and be okay. So no, this has been totally normal and natural for me.
Even when you were even when you were at a, let's say, low vibration or something, bad things were happening, you were perfectly okay with it, or let's say okay.
No, I was perfectly okay with it, and I can tell you why I think that is, because I've thought about it, because it's a major difference between me and a lot of people. I think that in my childhood, the secrecy in my life, and that's what happens in abuse situations, the secrecy is what caused all of my pain. So as far as I was concerned, as long as there was someone witnessing, regardless of what attitude I was in, I was safer. So having a camera on me 24 hours a day, regardless of what mood I'm in, actually makes me feel safer, if you would like to know the shadow aspect of my life. That's what it is.
Well, I can't imagine that, because like you are the opposite of like probably all people.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it makes for some real challenges in relationships, I'll tell you that. When I'm like, yay, cameras, and everyone's like, no.
Yeah, she was very good, and I must say that for the first time in my life, I've been while I was filming, I felt totally relaxed. I felt totally trusted, which is something that is not very common. People usually, when I film, people are a bit, worried about how they will come out on screen. They're worried, how the way they look, all these things. Tia is totally. She was totally like allowing, totally relaxed. It was really a pleasure. It was
Yeah,
really a
I
pleasure
let
being
her
around.
pitch me into a lake even.
Okay, so that's that's one of the funniest moments of the filming. There was this image that I had in my mind ever since I asked her to start this project, and it was Teal in the water, So I really wanted to film, Teal plunging into the water, and so we decided to go to a lake one day, and hopefully, we were hoping that the lake was not so cold. And I thought, okay, if it's cold, I went in my mind, if it's cold, I'm gonna plunge with her, just to how do you say? There is a word that
to boost morale.
Exactly. So when I put my feet in the lake, I said, no way, I'm not gonna go down. So at that time, Sardeep was there, and I thought, okay, I'm going to rely on Sardeep. He had the wetsuit, so I put the camera on him, and then we filmed the scene. But it didn't come out good because. Not because of Teal. She plunged very well, in spite of the fact that she was freezing to death. Really, I think that day she risked hypothermia. You say hypothermia, right?
Yeah.
And yes, totally. And she was like there. Why was I matched to this? This is not possible. I'm gonna freeze my brain and everything. She was going on and on, but yet she did her job. She plunged into the water. Great plunges, because I could see it from, we were in the middle of the lake, and there is this floating thing. But unfortunately, it didn't work because the camera was not really pointing at the right direction, so we would get here. So the day after, we filmed that again in a swimming pool.
Oh, no.
This is just so shitty. I can't even tell you. Why didn't we do this in the swimming pool?
About to plunge.
About to plunge.
Oh, you're going to plunge later?
This is the kind of cold that just like fucking destroys your brain capacity. What am I doing now? Okay, my other issue, so my issue is how heavy this is. Like, can you feel this?
Yeah.
It's going to be perfect for the plunge later.
Yeah.
I know, but like I'm real worried about my ability to get back up.
She's going to be fine. You're going to be there.
She'll be fine, just jump her off. How did I become a match to this? Lauren, if you see sharks, okay.
Let me tell you something. My joke after this filming session was, if there's ever a boat with a lot of Indian women on it that goes down, don't even bother looking for them. Because I had to jump into this thing with a sari on, which is 40 yards of fabric, and what does 40 yards of fabric do when it gets wet? It just goes straight to the bottom. It was like one of the scariest things I've experienced, where it's like you're trying to get to the top, but the fabric's ripping you underneath. And so they had to get this, like, it was kind of like a hook that they use in public pools to try to save people who are drowning. And so they'd have to pull me up after every jump. So, but we did get the shot, and it's epic. I think that what people don't know about filming someone when they are the subject, a person is the subject of your documentary, is just how much time you have to spend around that person. So it's what's, basically Paola followed me around for over a year, and she saw more than most people ever see of my private life, so to speak, which is not so private because I'm Teal Swan. But so I think it would be interesting for most people to hear about what her opinion is after having been in that perspective, not just the perspective of being a filmmaker shooting Teal Swan, but what is it like being around her on a personal level.
Yes, in fact, it was interesting for me because when I decided to make a documentary on Teal, every time I dress, I wear this mask of being a filmmaker. I kind of detach myself not only from the subject but also from myself. And but as I was, as I was being around her, obviously, at one point I realized that something was also happening to myself. I was getting more in touch with myself, and I was slowly understanding what it means to be more also in your heart space rather than in your mind space. And I was learning many things about myself. I was learning also many things about my shadows. At the beginning, it was not, I couldn't perceive that this was actually happening to me. But then, as I was going along with filmmaking and getting to know Teal more and more, I kind of, understood that the camera was actually an excuse for my own personal journey, for my own personal healing. And when I went into this project, I thought that I didn't have anything to hear. I mean, I wasn't even paying attention to my real self.
I totally understand what you are talking about, because I had the opportunity to spend some, let's say, few days with Teal, and I know how that time like moved me forward. What everything, like Teal is like us, she is a catalyst. So whatever is there, it will just you'll just see it. So
You're gonna be touched by
yes. So
I sound like so much fun to hang out with.
so
And she is.
to spend 1 year with Till must be like really amazing thing on a personal, let's say on a personal journey.
Yes, totally. Especially if you don't have the expectation that she's perfect. Because whoever has the expectation that she's perfect, then they go with the mindset which is totally wrong.
So Paola, what's the stage now with the documentary?
The stage with the documentary, we are, as I was saying before, in post-production, and we thought, you know, my mind, I thought I'm going to finish this documentary by around this time, a year, and that didn't happen, indeed, because really there is a lot of footage, and most of them is very good. But you have to make a choice, because you cannot put everything in an hour and a half. In order to also to speed up with post-production, we need more money. We started a crowdfunding campaign about a year ago, and it was a free, open crowdfunding campaign, which means there's no deadline. And so far, we collected half of the budget, and we still need $40,000. And so we ask for more donations in order for us to reach that goal, and for me to be able to face all the expenses related to post-production. It's very expensive, and there's a lot of time going to that, a lot of you know, a lot of resources, a lot of energy. So I thank all the contributors that donated so far, and but yes, we still need donations to
Yeah, I
reach
think
the
I
goal.
think I think what we are like talking today about, and that you were filming Teal for almost a year, let's say 24 hours a day, and how Teal's view was on this. This is, from my point of view, this is really this will be like, let's say, a revolutionary or a unique or one of a kind of documentary, because I don't know of too many, let's say, actors or spiritual leaders that would be so much open to the raw authenticity that that you can like film all day long for like 24 hours a day. So I think like people, I think and really hope that would appreciate this and find this immersive value, because this is, let's say, I would call it, if let's say, a breaking point. If Teal could do this, and this documentary would be out with the support of whoever would love to contribute, this will be a huge value for everybody that finds themselves in a similar situation.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I think. So, like, what's interesting to me is, see, so even though this documentary has nothing to do with, even though it's about me, I'm the subject, it's not my project, it's ultimately, you know, Paola's project. What really inspires me about this is that Paola's been approached multiple times by producers who want to fund the project, but they want it to go in a different direction. And this is what we have to understand about why one of the reasons that movie making is so complicated is because once other people get their money involved, a lot of them want creative control over the project, and so they want to turn it into something other than the original vision. So Paola's original vision was, let's make this an artistic and beautiful message for people. the one that I think, you know, all of us share, which is let's make it this inspirational piece where we expose the raw, authentic aspect of this person's life. That's why the name is Open Shadow. And
Yes.
I feel like, you know, it would be awesome if we could get this thing completely crowdfunded, because that's how we can ensure that that message doesn't shift. You know, for the typical documentary, it's ripe with controversy. It's sort of like that's the point. It's not about inspiration. It's really not about that kind of message. It's about like, let's like lay out all the facts and then let you make up your mind about the controversy. And the fact that this particular documentary is not about that is what makes it so incredibly unique. So it's my hope for Paola that she can find that kind of funding so that that message can be shared, and it's not going to be steered in the direction that most people steer documentaries today.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So Paola, when you said you have like more than 1 hour, 100 hours of footage,
Yes.
do you, if, and I hope it will, the documentary will come out and the campaign will be successful. By the way, like all the links for the crowdfunding campaign and everything will be at the end of this video. But
Yes.
Paola, were you thinking about doing let's say a super extended director's cut, or some sort of short series, or you are not at this stage, at this point, you are not thinking about it?
At this point, I'm thinking about doing a lot of bonus footage.
I haven't even seen this footage, so like the thing is, I don't even know what she has. This is going to be a surprise for me.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, the movie will be a surprise for me because like you've done a lot of shooting that I haven't seen. You
Yes.
know, like I wasn't even present, and it's people that just relate to the story, and so it's like I don't know what my parents said. I don't know what this guy in London said. So this will be pretty. I'm like nervous almost.
So Paola, is there one trailer or two now out? How many are there?
There are three trailers. Today, after this interview, we are launching the new official trailer. We are launching it on a new webpage. So for those ones who were familiar with www.tealfilm.com, that page is redirected to the new webpage, and it's www.openshadowfilm.com.
This interview was really a pleasure. I mean, I'm so much looking forward to the documentary, because I feel like not only me, but this will be something really that.
You're ready for this? If you can find one person who does not relate to some aspect of this film, then it would be quite surprising to me. Like Paola is giving rise to a very real film. And it's not just only about me, it's also about the people who are seeking out of this life the way to find the life they want to live, instead of the life that society says you're going to have to live. So, I mean, it's like I think it's really going to hit people where it counts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Me too, and I really appreciate that I could take my tiny part on this on this movie, just by doing this interview, or doing workshops in Europe or whatever. And yeah, this is something that really, like, I feel when doing this, I feel great. So I just hope that this documentary will come out and all the people will benefit by it. Still, thank you very much for being part of this interview, and I really do hope that this will be something that will change, let's say change the world, at least. This documentary.
I would love that, yes.
Yeah, and thank you, Paola, for your inspiration to do this kind of documentary, and traveling 1 year with Teal, so everybody can benefit from it at the end.
Thank you. And they will.
Yeah.
For sure. Yes.
Thank you. So take care. Bye bye.
Thank you.